pretty sad, but also kind of an interesting story here. Federal judge's son, 20, shot dead, and her obviously very sad and tragic, and condolences go out to the family. Shot dead, and her criminal defense attorney husband is critically injured after a gunman disguised as a FedEx driver ambushed their home 4 days after she was assigned a case linked to Jeffrey Epstein. So, federal judge's family, her son and her husband, he was critically injured. The 20-year-old son's now dead. 4 days after this judge was assigned a case linked to Jeffrey Epstein. If that doesn't sound super suspicious and just merely coincidental, um, that I have some questions I would like to ask you. So, a man dressed as a FedEx driver opened fire at a home of Judge Esther Salas. The attack happened in North Brunswick, New Jersey on Sunday night. Daniel Anderler, the judge's 20-year-old son, was killed. Her husband, Mark Anderler, is reportedly in critical condition in a hospital. Judge is believed to have been in the basement during the shooting. Last week, the judge was assigned to a case involving links to Jeffrey Epstein. She previously presided over a trial of former Real Housewives Teresa Guidas in case regarding fraud. She's also dealt with cases involving members of the Grape Street Crips. I mean, and obviously it's very sad and tragic when anybody gets shot or attacked, and imagine how she feels right now. Her son's dead, her husband's, in critical condition at the hospital. 4 days after she was assigned to this case with links to Jeffrey Epstein. Kind of scary, and you would hope, if she would want some type of, protection after this, because if I was in her shoes, if I wasn't ready, I would be really, really freaked out. Although there's not yet any suggestions that the attack is linked to her work, but it does seem highly coincidental at this point. Son answered the door. He was shot several times. Wait, no, Dan, that's the dad. Then went to investigate. Son went to investigate. He was fatally shot. Perpetrator believed to be a lone gunman. Then fled the scene. Is not yet in custody. There's the judge. There's the husband and the father. I believe critical condition. Looks like, I guess that's their house in New Brunswick. There's the FBI, U.S. Marshals, New Jersey State Police all investigating it. Pretty insane. She was appointed by Obama, it looks like. Yep. So U.S. Marshals have also been called to provide the judge with a security detail, which obviously makes sense at this point. I mean, because again, it would have to be, from my perspective, a pretty big coincidence that this judge's family gets attacked 4 days after she was assigned to a case involving Epstein. Let's see if it talks about the case. And I believe it has something to do with Deutsche Bank, I want to say, and their financial dealings with regarding to Epstein. Okay, here we go. Yep. Last week, on July 15th, the judge was assigned to a case that links to late sex abuser Jeffrey Epstein. I should probably say sex trafficker as well. The case Salas is presiding over involves an ongoing lawsuit brought by Deutsche Bank investors who claim the company made false and misleading statements about its anti-money laundering policies and failed to monitor high-risk customers, including convicted sex offender billionaire Jeffrey Epstein. But her highest profile case in recent years was the financial fraud case involving husband and wife, Real Housewives of New Jersey, reality TV stars Teresa and Joe Guidas, whom Salas sentenced to prison for crimes including bankruptcy, fraud, and tax evasion. She barred federal prosecutors from seeking the death penalty. That's good. Death penalty's fucked up. Abolish that shit. Grape Street Crips. Judge Salas had received death threats in the past, but as of Sunday night, authorities have not suggested that shootings are linked to any of her previous cases. Pretty. So let's look at that case a little bit more. So this is the case that Judge Salas is presiding over. Investors sued Deutsche Bank executives over compliance fine linked to Epstein because they were fined, I believe Deutsche Bank was $150 million for basically letting Epstein's financially do whatever he wanted with his dealings with Deutsche Bank. And the lawsuit was filed on Wednesday in the U.S. District Court in Newark, New Jersey, and seeks unspecified damages. It claims shareholders lost money because of Deutsche Bank's dealings with Epstein, who was implicated in dozens of sexual abuse cases. He died last August. He was found hanging in Manhattan jail. It should also say in very mysterious and suspicious circumstances. New York regulators last week announced Deutsche Bank would pay the fine for significant compliance failures over Epstein in two unrelated cases. Deutsche Bank declined to comment on the lawsuit last week. It said the settlement showed how important it is to continue investing in our controls and enhancing our anti-financial crime capabilities, and we're only saying this because we got caught. The lawsuit also names defendants Deutsche Bank finance chief James von Moltke and former CEO John Cryan. The named plaintiff is Ali Karimi, who lives in Connecticut, according to the report documents. All right, so that is the case that Judge Salas will be seeing over, and so that's again her Esther Salas. Again, I mean, to me, that's very suspicious and coincidental at the very least. 4 days after she was assigned that case linked to Epstein with regards to Deutsche Bank and those former, maybe current Deutsche Bank investors suing Deutsche Bank for them, letting Epstein run wild, and then subsequently Deutsche Bank having to pay that big fine. Seems a little coincidental that federal judge's family would be attacked, targeted at that point for, assassination, murder, and that very well could have been her as well, injured or shot in some type of way if she hadn't been in the basement when that attack happened. So, it's good that she has a security detail at this point, and yeah, I guess it's kind of an updating story, and we'll see if we get any more news. But again, at the least, very coincidental that 4 days after she gets that case linked to Epstein, that her family is targeted. So.